Hey friends, it's Neil, TINTBUSTERS with WindowEffects. I'm going to show you how to do a forerunner back window all by yourself. Okay, so first thing we need to do is take off this piece right here, and there's a screw back behind here, because we're going to remove this whole door panel to make it easier. It's a 10 mil, and we're going to keep it, remember, and it faces up that way. All right, so once you get that screw out, we're going to get down behind that, and there's just a clip there. We're going to have to undo those lights. Because these two clips came out, so we're going to have to reach in here and undo these lights right here. Right here. And we're going to take these clips out and put them back in here. It's a great tool to have. All right. Take out that light, and then it's going to slide up. Just like that. Take that out. And then, importantly, we want to trick this window and make it think like this window is shut. That way, we can run this window up and down without shutting this thing. Because if you keep it up, that window won't go up and down. They clean that real good. This thing is nasty. All right, we're going to clean that really good. Now, I wound it down because I got to clean what was in there now. That was all up in the seal. Boom, got the IR20, ceramic 20 from Johnson Window Films. All right, so I used a 20-inch roll, but you can cut down a bigger roll and cut it in half, but this is gonna be plenty. So I'm just making sure I got an overlap on both sides. I'm gonna lock down this middle so it doesn't move on me. So I'm gonna marker this with a metallic Sharpie. I'm gonna do, I'm going to take it easy over all those fingers. I'm not pushing super hard. Notice how I'm leading with my finger behind there. So I'm going to mark where the window's at, and then on these, I'm actually going to mark on the outside of where the window goes into. A marker in there and here so I can see this window move. All right, so here's the trick to be able to wind this window up right here is we're going to have to get some tape, like some green tape, and we're going to flip up that bottom. We're going to put this tape on here, and we're going to flip up this bottom. It's way too big of a piece of tape. And now that's going to hold that bottom from when I wind this window down. It's creasing on this bottom. So now I can walk down in here. We got the car on. And now, okay, so that's allowed me, without creasing the bottom, now I can release that. And that's going to allow me to work with this top and hand cut this top out without worrying about creasing anything on that. So I'm going to finish marking out my side. You can see how much that thing moved. So this is my new edge. That was the inside of the window, and this was the outside of this rubber piece, which is right here. So that's how much these windows move, what makes these windows so difficult. You can see on this side is where this one's at. And actually, I'm going to want to come down on this a little bit more so that I can really cut down on those sides. And then I'm going to drop that window down right to there. Because really, I want to cut down these sides really good. Now, this is a good heat shrink on this top, which is why I needed to clean the top out. You can see those fingers. Now, I'm not going to heat shrink the bottom. I'm going to heat shrink that on the windshield, which we're going to test that hypothesis. Okay, so before I can hand cut this top, I want to make sure the top is shrunk, so that way when I hand cut it, it's going to be perfect and there are not going to be any ripples in there. So I'm going to shrink these fingers down, but I don't want to do it the whole way to the top because I could crease it. So notice how I'm doing it like halfway up. You can kind of split that finger up a little bit. This is like a wet shrink. I don't want to be too aggressive, especially with this one right here. I can split this into a couple. All right, because you don't want it too big of a finger. Notice I'm waving the heat gun back and forth, letting it go, and using a glove instead of a card. Like, I've been tinting a long time, and the glove is going to be your friend. I can use one finger, I use two fingers. I'm sure that makes funny for a funny part of the video, but I did not want to have to press this stuff down. Notice if I get into trouble, I can just split the fingers up out of the way. Notice, even though I cleaned that window, that's some grit and stuff on that window. Now I'm only doing this just so I can have a smooth hand cut on here. On that top part. All right, that's plenty good enough. All right, so I got the top done on there. Make sure I always have a fresh blade. That's the secret to a good hand cut you gotta have. You'll go through some blades now. All right, so that's about right where I want that blade out. Now I'm gonna start this down here on the side. So right where I can see about as far as enough. Now I'm making this a little bigger, but I wanna get that knife blade into where that window starts right down in there. So I'm gonna drop that in there. And this one I might need a little smaller because there's something rubber back behind there. And then right here, I'm really gonna roll my wrist over on that edge so it stays right on that edge. It's all about that wrist roll. Now I can go faster, I'm right on there. Then once I get here, notice my hand's in front, then I'm gonna roll this wrist down this way. All right, that's a perfect cut on there. And once I pull it out, that thing's gonna be dull. If you look real close, that thing's gonna be dull right there. So that's why I need another blade out. And this thing needs to be small because otherwise I'm hitting that rubber right there. Working my finger down in front of it, it's gonna give me a good little piece. All right, now my window is gonna be cut. Now, if you don't have a trim board, you could grab this thing like this and flip it and cut it like this and cut it down there. But you know, if you're gonna be a professional, you're gonna wanna have a piece of trim glass. It's that simple. So we have a piece of glass that I ordered. That's a 4-runner back window that I could heat shrink it on there. But we're gonna test this hypothesis that someone said that you can heat shrink it on the windshield. So that's what we're gonna do. So if you notice, these are my lines right here that go on the outside of the black rubber. That's the actual window right there. And this is the actual outside of the perfect cut on the window. So what I'm gonna do here is, I'm a good hand cutter. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go right to the outside of that, and then I'm gonna start working my way over to the edge of this right here. Because I don't want to use a straight edge. It's going to come in a little bit. You'll never see that, but I don't want to make that too big because that's going to be a nightmare getting that in there. But that'll be all the way behind that rubber piece. So on this one. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to test this hypothesis out. So I need to flip this film over because I don't want this to be wet on this side now, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to heat shrink this on the windshield, and I already got the windshield prepped because heat shrinking this on the back window is not easy. I mean, I could do it, but it's not easy, so why struggle? And somebody said, and I'm being really gentle here so I don't crinkle this, somebody said that you could heat shrink this on the windshield. So we're gonna try this out. Andrew, what do you got going on? Okay, why don't you pop up over and heat shrink this other side for me? I know we said we were doing a solo video, but we might as well speed this up and put Andrew on camera because he's better looking than anyways. I already heat shrank the top, but we're probably gonna have to double shrink it anyways. So that's Andrew from Johnson Window Films. He's their #1 installer. That doesn't look too curved on the bottom though. That's crazy that they said that. I wonder how we can make that more curved. Maybe it is at the top. You know, like I said, we're just trying this out because the rumor is that you can heat shrink this on the windshield and it fits perfect. But now I'm seeing some fingers on there, so hopefully that's gonna work. All right, let me go get my trusty heat gun. And by the way, you can see how nice this shop is. We spent a lot of money on this shop. But these $20 heat guns or $30 heat guns, I bought $300 heat guns, and to be honest with you, these things are just as good. We're gonna heat shrink that nice and slow. Really conform that bottom. We're gonna see if this is the truth or not. All right, we're gonna reheat, even though I already heat shrinked the top, you can double shrink a window. And especially on these ones, they may need a double shrink. But usually for fastness, now this is me teaching you how to do this one when you're on your own or whatever, but you want to do this at speed, you spend the money, you get a damn back window. I think that window cost me like 160 bucks on eBay. I bought a back window and it's gonna make your job way faster. And use a plotter, print that thing out in the plotter, heat shrink it on that back window right there. And that's it. Now, since I got the back off, I'm gonna drop this in the bottom. I want the bottom at the top. Notice I just bought this here on Amazon, 150 bucks for the battery powered one just to use on here. All right, gotta get a clean waffle towel and I gotta get a scrubby pad. All right, so to do this one, I don't know where you can probably see this from out here, but I'm just gonna clean this with a scrubby pad. Because again, it has rear defrost on it, so if you use a razor blade, you're kind of going to be in trouble. And also, super important here, I got this waffle towel, and I'm going to wipe all up in this sweep here, and when I wind it up, I'm going to wipe down in that sweep too. All right, so now if I was working by myself, I would have to pop out back here and wind this window all the way up now. All right, I gotta wind it all the way up now.
Better than out there.
Yeah, so really I'm gonna get a card right here, any kind of triangle card, and get this waffle towel. And I really wanna push it in there and you'll be able to see on better lighting. I mean, there's freaking dirt all onto that thing. So I'm gonna flip it to a clean spot. And I could do this also with a paper towel. But I really want to get down in there. If we get out there, I can show you kind of how nasty that is. All right, so now I want to go ahead and squeegee that window. Get this thing extra clean. Okay, I'm just moving the window down. That's the problem with this 4Runner, why you need to charge more, is because you got to fucking bounce back and forth to do a job. So make sure my squeegee's super clean. And now I'm gonna get here. And again, there's a million probably different ways to do this, but I've been tinting a long time and this is just how I do it, all right? So I wanna really wipe these pillars off and anything I might potentially touch. And make sure it's extra clean. All right, the hard part about this is when I spray this window down, I'm gonna flush this down. I'm gonna flush any type of dirt that would be on there. And now I gotta go back and pull that glass up. Wet that down nice and good. I'm gonna drop this in just like I would bottom load. Just like I bottom load a side window. All right, what I do now is I put this in one hand like this and pinch it in the middle so I can get up in here. And now I'm gonna reach this and pull this down so it's up against my legs. I make sure I didn't touch a single thing. All right, now I'm gonna get back underneath the film. I'm gonna bottom load this thing. Drop this arm like a left where I can kind of bow and arrow it in there. Make sure my bottom's in. All right, my whole side and bottom's in. This side is not. And I'm getting that lined up. And I'm gonna lift this up, make a little bit of a finger here in the middle so I can get that side. So now I gotta work this one over in there more. That'll give me some clearance on this side. So again, I might wanna have to make a little bit of a finger on this side to get that in there. I mean, that's a good size cut right there because I want to make sure. Now I'm in there all the way below the seal. And get a little bigger. Now I'm going to fold this in or make it a little more of a finger there on the opposite side. Now this side's smooth and I can slide this side in. Notice I have a finger over there. That's fine because I cleaned that really good. All right. That's going to be tight in there until I wind that window up. But notice my top, we'll see when I'm done with the video, is my top edge is really, really good. All right, now I go back in there. I want to touch down my window a little bit. This is why you got to hit that lock button. All right. Up and across on this because I may have to heat shrink another piece because we tested that hypothesis on that thing, but I don't know if that's going to work. So it looks like I got a finger right there at the top. So with something like that, I'm going to have to heat shrink this. All right, guys, just here finishing up on this 4Runner job. So again, you can do this on your own, a couple tricks like I showed you, or sometimes I think the best way, so we debunked the myth of the kind of the windshield, trying to squeegee it, or I mean, trying to heat shrink it out of there. It still leaves you some fingers. So you can also get a piece of glass and put it on there. It makes it ways or it comes out perfect like that and use the plotter. So there's many different ways to do this. One thing I'm gonna remind you so this doesn't happen to you, because this has happened to me many, many occasions. Now that the window's done, if you wind the window down now and there's tin on there, that window's heavy enough, it'll lay down, and a little screw or something here will just scratch your tin. It won't scratch the glass, but it'll scratch your tin. So before I'm totally done, but before I clean this window and everything, what I want to do is make sure I put that put the door panel piece back on, so that way it stops it from hanging down in there and it stops it from scratching. So what I want to do is get in here, get it kind of in that seal, and now it's in there. All right, so now I got to make sure I plug these back in. Boom, plug that one in. You don't want to forget this. Plug that one in, and all these clips, once they're lined up, once those clips are lined up, then that thing will fall right back in place. All right, now it's in there. Put the screw back in. Same way we put it back in. Right. Now we can wind that window up and down, and we'd be completely fine. Make sure you get all your tools. We're going to clean that window, but now hit that button, and then it'll re-shrink it back in there. So there, shut up, ready to go. So that's how you do a 4Runner back window. For more tricks and tips on different vehicles, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Appreciate you.